Hi there, welcome back to my shop. And if this happens to be your first time here, welcome. I hope you'll find what I do interesting, and if so, I hope you'll subscribe. I really appreciate the support, and I want to thank all those who have subscribed in the past. Your support means a lot to me. Now, today's project is going to be this piece of Padauk. It's 2 inches thick, 5 inches square, and I just want to make a small winged bowl. So I'm going to use this centering jig. I have found the center on here. I will drop this wooden faceplate that I made on there. I'm going to hot glue it around here. Then I'm going to take it to the lathe and do some turning. I hope you'll stick around. All right, that should work just perfectly. I think that should be plenty wide enough for the base for it to sit on. I've raised the speed to 2000 RPM, which hopefully will give me a smoother cut out here where I'm cutting some air. I want to try blending this in using this 1-inch high-speed steel scraper. I know most people are using carbide scrapers these days, but I'm a little old school, and although I do have some of those carbide scrapers, I still like using this. So 2000 RPM again. Let's see what kind of job this will do. I'm quite happy with that. Now, as long as these points are still defined, I think that'll be raised enough. So I'm going to reverse this after I sand it into my 4-jaw chuck and start working on the top. Just need to sand this first. I'm going to be sanding this. This will be spinning in reverse, hopefully to take the dust away into the dust collector port. And I'm using a 2-inch disc on my drill. So I'm going to get my air shield on, keep the dust out of my lungs, and I'll be right back to start this. right, going to need a little more work with sanding. And I want to sand this up to 320 or 400, and I'll be back to show you the results. I have it sanded up to 400 grit now. I think that looks pretty good. I just want to drill the recess for my logo coin. All right, that should work just fine. I'm going to put on 2 coats of my sanding sealer, which is a 50-50 mixture of Zinsser seal coat and ethanol. Between the coats, I will sand with 400 grit to make sure that any grain that's raised is taken down. And then once this is finished, I'll be back. It just took a little bit of alcohol to get that hot glue to release, and I managed to get the glue block off there, that wooden faceplate, with no trouble at all. Now I want to make a fairly small bowl in here. It's really not the size of the bowl that I'm concerned with. Just going to start turning from about here toward the outside. I think I need to do a little bit of honing on this. I'm getting an awful lot of air time in here, so I've increased the speed to 3,000 RPM, faster than I generally turn, but let's see what happens. All right. When the gouge fell off the edge there, I think that wasn't helpful, but still, that's a fairly nice clean cut. So I'll continue at 3,000 RPM. You've probably been sitting there looking at this and thinking, man, those proportions are horrible. And you're right, it's a little too tall. I was hoping to just make it work because I really like this little bit of figure that's inside there. But although I could get away with it if this was much larger in diameter, I just can't keep it like this. So I'm going to have to take some of this off, at least 1/4 of an inch, and then we'll see what it looks like. So turning at 2000 RPM. All right, I think the height is better, but now, of course, having taken all of that away, this is a little too wide, so I need to return this a little bit, inside or the outside, and I think I'll go with the inside. Well, I thought I was finished with this. I really did. I've got it all sanded up to 400, got sanding sealer on, and then She Who Must Be Obeyed walked out in the shop, took a look at it and said, "No, I don't like it. I want these wings to be to be thinner and more even with this profile." So I guess I'm not finished. So I'll be doing a little more turning. And have you ever had one of those times when you said, I'm going to make just one more little finishing cut, and you blow something up? Well, let's see what happens here. I'll be turning this at 2000 RPM. $3,000 RPM. You know, I'm usually not at all nervous about making cuts, but I had to go and say that thing about taking one last cut and having something blow up. And now I almost feel like I'm shaking inside. Now I'm going to see what happens when I come in from this tip here. Well, that's not going to be thin enough for her. All right, I hope that's thin enough. I'm just going to have to try to sand this. I had a little oops there, so I'll take that off. All right, I'll just use sandpaper to round these shoulders. And now, wouldn't it be ironic if I broke this with sandpaper? All right, 320 grit, and she tells me she likes this better, so I certainly hope so. I'm going to put sanding sealer on here again now, and then I'm going to think about the finish to use. After the sanding sealer, I wiped it down with some alcohol to get a lot of the dust off, and boy, was there a lot of dust, as usual. Now I'm going to use some Howard Feed and Wax. I like this finish. It gives a warm glow to most things. I've never used it on Padauk, so I don't know what to expect. But I'm going to put this on. I'm going to let it sit for 20 minutes and then buff it a little bit. And I'll bring you back to show you the results. Well, it's finished and my wife likes it. Now, to be honest, I think it might be more of a classic shape if I had this a little lower. But then that would give me a real problem because as it is, I can only get so many Smarties in there. Wouldn't want me to starve or anything, would you? Well, thank you for coming in today. I hope you enjoyed watching me stumble through this. I really like it. I love what the Howard Feed and Wax has done to the Padauk. I think it's a beautiful finish for this one. So I hope you'll come back next time. And between now and then, have a great day in your shop and be safe. Thank you to all those people who've subscribed. I really, really appreciate it. I'm kind of overwhelmed. Over 18,000 subscribers now. Hard to believe. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you'll consider doing that. And share this with other people if you think they can use a little bit of humor in their wood turning. I hope you'll click the like button. If you don't like it, click the thumbs down. Come back next time. I hope to see you here. You're always welcome in my shop. So take care now. Bye-bye.